Hello, everyone, and good morning. How you guys feeling today? And first of all, thank you so much for coming once again. Here we are in another live stream, another relaxed live stream about programming, about PHP, and once again, you guys came, which is pretty cool. I can see Roberto already here. Imanshu, also from India, thank you so much for coming. Sasha, Francisco, MI, Christopher Rumpel, Mateus Antonio Jr. as well, and Daniel from Brazil as well, which is pretty cool. I can see that I have quite an audience from Brazil because mainly I'm Portuguese, as you guys probably know. And for those who don't know, I'm a Portuguese web developer. My name is Nuno. I am Laravel core team member and the biggest PHP fan in the world. That's right, you know. By the way, before I forget, I've tried to tweak the music once again. You know, I think the first live stream the music was too low. The second one the music was just too loud. So let me know what you think about the music today. If it's good, if it should be louder, or if it's just perfect, like this. Filippo is saying, Nuno, we love you here from Brazil. Dude, my life goal objective for the next year is visit Brazil. I have to go there, you know what I mean? I love Brazil. I have never been there, but just the food, dude, I see on the pictures on Google and even on YouTube, they drive me crazy. I have to go there. So I think there is a conference called PHP Conference Brazil, and I'm going to try to apply. Or even in other conferences, I will do my best to go next year. I promise you all, okay? And it's time to another live stream. If you missed the previous live streams, go to my YouTube channel. I have done a live stream about Laravel Pale, which is a project that I'm about to launch. And by the way, I just received a confirmation from Taylor Otwell this morning that he's happy with the current state of the project. So the beta release should be really around the corner, okay? We probably are going to release that package early next week. Meanwhile, you are free to try it out. You can already go to the GitHub repo of Laravel Pale and just start tweaking with the project if you want to. Now, more news we have is regarding Laravel Breeze. As you know, we just have shipped it, I think, 2 weeks ago, the Livewire edition of Laravel Breeze, which we are going to cover today on this live stream. However, there is a small addition to that Livewire stack, which we are going to ship it next week, which is the functional API of Livewire. We are going to talk about all this stuff today, so if you are a little bit lost about what Livewire is, what is Livewire on Breeze, or what even is Breeze about, we are going to cover all that stuff today. Meanwhile, you probably have seen that during these live streams, I always have the chat open on the bottom right corner. So if you just want to interact with me or just make questions or anything really, just type here on the chat and I will constantly monitor that and answer your questions, probably even in real time, okay? So that being said, I just grabbed a fresh new coffee. It's just after lunch here, but I always have a nice coffee after lunch. I love coffee. I have probably like 3 coffees a day, and they just help me to keep me focused on my work. And today we have so much to cover about Breeze, about Livewire, about Volt, and I need to be energized for all these topics today. Anyway, that being said, you guys excited to see a little bit of Breeze? I hope you guys are, because we are getting started right away. I want to do a poll. I want to do a poll here on the chat about to see what is your favorite starter kit on Laravel. So as you know, Laravel have multiple starter kits. We can start to talking about that precisely. So on Laravel, we have multiple options to get started. Okay, technology is not the same in 2023 as before. We have multiple options, we have multiple use cases, multiple needs, and with Laravel, we open the doors to pretty much everything. You might want to start with Laravel and just regular Blade, which is the traditional way of building web applications. It's still probably one of my favorite ways, to be honest. It's simple, it's easy, and I love it. It's just plain PHP, and I kind of love to get started with just Laravel and Blade. However, we have some starter kits that gives you access to kind of new technology for people who want some reactivity on the browser or need a little bit more features. And some of those options are Laravel Breeze and Laravel Jetstream. And for those who already know what is Laravel Breeze and Jetstream, I'm going to just type here, what is your favorite starter kit in Laravel? The first option will be vanilla Laravel, which is like Blade, etc. The second option will be Laravel Breeze. And the third option will be Laravel Jetstream. I'm curious to see what you guys prefer to choose when you are building a new Laravel application. And I'm going to give you already my choice, okay? Typically, I start with Jetstream. Jetstream is one of my favorite options because it just brings so much functionality, and we can talk a little bit about that. If I go to Jetstream, which is right here, you can see that, first of all, Jetstream have so many new stuff that even have its own documentation. So if we go to the Laravel website and we click on Starter Kits, we can see all the options, including Jetstream. And if I click on the Jetstream documentation, we can see that Jetstream pretty much has its own documentation here. Just to mention all the features Jetstream offers. Let me just put here the chat on the right. There we go. So Jetstream is really like this ready-to-go starter kit with so many features, including authentication, obviously, but also email verification, two-factor authentication, session management, and also API tokens with Laravel Sanctum. In addition, it has teams, which is a big thing. So as a user of your Laravel application, you can have your own team, you can invite people to your own team, and it really brings a lot of stuff and features to get started for your fresh Laravel application, okay? Obviously, you have profile management and browser sessions even, you know, so many stuff this Jetstream offers. So typically I start with Jetstream. However, if I have something really specific, I kind of default to Laravel Breeze because it's more minimal. And you will see that Laravel Breeze is kind of a very simple starter kit in the sense that it only offers like very basic authentication and has a profile page that you can obviously change your password and edit your name. And we can talk a little bit about that. So again, just to recap, Laravel, you can pretty much start with vanilla in Laravel Blade or choose a starter kit. That starter kit can be Laravel Breeze or Laravel Jetstream. And I can see already on the chat, let's just take a peek here, how the pool is doing. I'm going to end the pool, okay? And we are going to see the results. And I can see that most of people start with Laravel Breeze. Then we also have Laravel Jetstream on the second position, and a very small percentage of the people actually use vanilla Laravel. Okay, that's surprising, by the way, but also interesting to see that most of the people choose Laravel Breeze, which is kind of the topic of today. Now, again, because technology have evolved so much, Laravel Breeze offers you kind of sub options within when you are starting and creating and installing Laravel Breeze on your Laravel application. And those are Breeze with Blade, Breeze with Livewire, and Breeze with React or Vue, or even a single API if you want to, okay? So let's talk a little bit about Laravel Breeze Blade and Laravel Breeze Livewire. So typically these two options are for people who have small teams and they don't want to handle any kind of JavaScript. And that's a big thing, by the way. If you have a group of people like 4 developers who are very good PHP developers, and you wish to have some kind of reactivity on the front, you can simply go with Livewire and you don't have to deal with any kind of JavaScript, even though the front end really feels like fully reactive. It truly feels like JavaScript, on the front end. But behind the scenes with Livewire, you don't have to know any kind of JavaScript to use it, which is pretty cool and a big point for choosing Livewire, for example. So both Breeze with Blade or Breeze with Livewire are great options if you don't want to deal with any kind of JavaScript, but also wish to build your next Laravel application, okay? Then we have Breeze with React and Vue, which is for people who are probably familiar already with those JavaScript frameworks. So you can leverage the full power of Laravel in your backend, and then on the front end, use powerful frameworks such as React and Vue to kind of build your application is front end, okay? And obviously, if you are building a simple API, you also have the Breeze API only option. But today, we are going to cover only the Breeze with Livewire option. So I'm going to kind of show you a little bit of the code I have built for this new stack. And yes, this is a new stack because it was built like 2 weeks ago. So it's kind of a new thing to this Laravel Breeze option. So let's go to the terminal here and put the chat right here on the bottom right. And again, if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm gonna see the chat pretty much at real time. So let's get started. Let's just open the terminal here a little bit bigger. And let's simply create a new Laravel application by typing something like Laravel new, okay? And I'm gonna choose no starter kit because typically you can choose if you want to Laravel Breeze right here, but I want to show you kind of the entire steps of requiring the package through Composer and do all the commands, all the artisan commands on the terminal as well. So I'm going to type no starter kit. I'm going to choose the best testing framework in the world. And by the way, are you guys already converted for past? Are you guys using this new thing? Or are you guys still using PHP unit? Okay? Let me know in the chat. I'm curious to see your option regarding the testing framework. This coffee is great, by the way. So I'm going to choose past. And obviously, I don't need a GitHub repository for now. So I'm going to just choose no on the GitHub repository. And this will pretty much start a fresh Laravel application right there on the terminal. And I can see already people on the chat saying that they choose past. Dudes, you have green card to be on this live stream. You know what I mean? This is the people I'm looking to work with. Everyone's choosing past. Thank you so much. That's a cool thing. I'm also a past user, of course, as past creator, but also I have kind of built that framework for my own needs. So I'm very happy about the results of that testing framework. Now I can see that the application is ready and ready to build something new, so I can simply go cd Laravel to jump into my Laravel project. Now let's just follow the instructions here. I'm going to click on the Laravel Breeze installation process, and I can see that the very first step I have to do is require the package through Composer. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to simply type composer require Laravel/breeze --dev, okay? Let's type enter, and I can see that Laravel Breeze, it's being required here on my terminal, okay? So let's just clear our terminal and continue to follow all the instructions. I can see that the next step is type Breeze install, so let's just do that. Copy paste here, Breeze install, and here we have finally the new Livewire option appearing on this prompts library we have at Laravel. So it's asking me which Breeze stack would you like to install, And I have the Blade option, as you have seen before, the Livewire, which is the new one, React, Vue, and API only, and the Livewire option is the new one. By the way, have you checked how awesome this new prompt library is? I don't know if you noticed, but this entire thing, like this entire question, this entire UI for the console is something new, something we have built and shipped, I don't know, probably 2 months ago during the Laracon US times. And I love this new terminal UI. Let me know what you think on the chat. Okay, so I'm going to choose Livewire just to get started. Livewire with Alpine.js, which is the framework that is built in on Alpine. And I'm going to type yes because I wish dark mode. And I can already see that we have passed pre-selected as a default testing framework. I can see on the chat that one of you said, I did not know about the API only option. Could save me some time. That's right. Sometimes we ship stuff on Laravel that some people are not aware about. And that's normal because we communicate about those features on GitHub, but sometimes on Twitter. And it's normal that sometimes people don't simply see those new features. What I would recommend you there is ask to your obviously if you are self-employed, you don't need that, but if you work for somebody else, just ask for 2 hours a week or even 1 hour a week just to keep up with some of the stuff we ship at Laravel during the week, but also keep up with just PHP features and new PHP packages from the community, which is a good thing. Beer Coder is saying Laracon, South Africa, Cape Town. Please, Nuno. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any power over where Laracon should be. What I can recommend you, though, is start yourself just a regular meetup. Just a regular meetup, call it Laravel Meetup, for example, and start building your own community there. And maybe someday there is a potential opportunity to have a Laracon there. I know that, for example, Laracon India is something that is official now, but they had like years of Laravel meetups on India, and that's why we know that there is a lot of organization there, and we trust those people to build a new, fresh Laracon. And I think they just announced the dates for next year, so you might want to double check that. All right, so that being said, I can see that I've just installed Livewire on this fresh Laravel application. And what I do expect to have to do now is kind of configure some of the environment variables because obviously I use my favorite database driver in the world, SQLite. I don't know what you guys think, but for me, SQLite is my favorite database driver in the planet. You know what I mean? I use it all the time. So SQLite for my database, and I think that's it. I think we are good to migrate or apply the migrations of Laravel Breeze. And if I type it, I can see already that thanks to Laravel is prompts API, I get to see the SQLite database does not exist. Do you wish to create it? And the answer is yes. And now I have my migrations run as well. Francisco Madeira is asking me, even for production with the devil emoji. Fuck yeah, dude. Yes, SQLite for production is dope and is underrated, People don't use it, but they should sometimes. It's just so simple. So migrations run, which typically means that we should be good to go. So I'm going to open Google Chrome here, and I'm going to open a new tab. And this new tab will be laravel.test. And that's it. We have our application already answering with this welcome view page. I can log in if I want to. I can register my users if I want to. So everything really just works. Now, I have a couple of things to show you regarding Breeze. We are going to cover some of the Breeze features. Probably some of them you are already aware about it, but I want to show you some of the tweaks I have done with Livewire, because all of this stuff, all of these features, login, register, profile management, everything is built on top of Livewire. So if I open this project with Sublime Text and I go to resources, views, Livewire, I can see already all these Livewire components appearing here on the left. I can see pages, the confirm password page. I can see the navigation stuff as well. Everything fully powered with Laravel Livewire, okay? Tuto is saying I'm only 50 minutes late. That's right, you are late. I'm starting, so if I schedule a live stream for 3 p.m., I'm starting at 3 p.m. So I probably will start a live stream like 5 minutes before just to allow people to come up. So basically will be the screen saying starting soon, but at 3 p.m. I'm starting the live stream for everyone. So that's pretty much the schedule, okay? So as I was saying, a lot to cover up here. Let's start talking a little bit about some of the stuff we have here, okay? So every new page, like login, register, is a new Livewire component, okay? So if I go to login, for example, which is right here, and I get to see the logo, the email, and password, that is pretty much a full page Livewire component. And as a full page Livewire component, I need to specify the layout and kind of specify the template as well just below. And just to address a little bit the big elephant in the room, we are using Livewire Vault here. Okay, and I want to demystify a little bit Livewire Vault so you guys can understand what this Livewire Vault is really about, okay? So typically, on regular Livewire, let's say Livewire 2, for example, you would have the template under the views directory, which will be just right here, the entire template. However, the component itself would be on applications, HTTP, Livewire, and then it would have a class for the component. However, thanks to Laravel Vault or Livewire Vault, we can now have that PHP code on the same place of the template. Now, this may sound confusing at first, but I can promise you, once you get used to it, it really feels good. And just for the reason of everything that changes together. I'm going to give you an example. CSS classes are on the same template of the HTML thanks to Tailwind, and we can put that together with a given HTML. We can also have this full Livewire component just next to the template. So when I click, for example, on the login button, which is right here, you can see that if I type login, I can see this wire submit login, and I have the code of the login button just right here on the same view. So I don't have to jump between tabs. Everything is just close together, and I can just interact with my code as easy as that, okay? So I'm gonna just take a sip of coffee and jump a little bit into this topic. Now, still a little bit about Vault. There is this misconception that Vault is only about the new functional API. So if I click on my Google Chrome, I have this Vault documentation, which immediately starts with the functional API we have on Vault. But before we talk about the function API, it's important to consider that you can use this functional API, but also at the same time, if you want to, you can use the class-based API that traditionally you would use with Laravel Livewire, okay? So you can use the API you prefer, similar to Vue options or Vue functional API. With Vault, you can use your favorite API to build your Livewire components. Personally, I am a big fan of the functional API, and we are going to talk about that today. I'm going to show you some really good examples of the functional API. However, if you are already very familiar with the class-based API and you like it, you can just use it. It's really up to preference. And again, personally, I'm a big fan of the functional API. I have done some React in the past, some Vue, so I'm very comfortable with that API. However, if you are not up to learning, you can simply use this class-based API, and everything is also very good, okay? Let me know in the chat if you have used Vault what is your favorite API already, okay? And let's chat a little bit about that. Now, back to Sublime Text. So we have covered that the stubs published by Laravel Breeze are fully written with Livewire, but also using this Volt API, which allows us to have the component, but also the template exactly on the same file. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the underlying features I have used, and one of them you already have seen. So if I click, for example, on login or register, I'm answering with a full page Livewire component, meaning that I have the login component right here, which is this one, but I'm also having this register, for example, component, which is responsible to answer the register route. Okay, now I want to show you something really cool we have done with Livewire. Are you guys familiar with the feature called Navigate? It's probably one of my favorite new features of Livewire 3, and it pretty much allows you to not perform full page refreshes every time you change the URL. I'm a big fan of it. So I'm going to show you, okay? So I'm going to go to this layout navigation, and as you can see, we have, what is it? Oh, this is not the one. I actually want to visit this navigation on the top right, so login and register. So I'm going to go back to my Sublime Text, and I'm going to go to this welcome navigation. So this is the component that is being used to render this login and register buttons. And I'm going to remove, at the end of those links, I'm going to remove the wire navigate, okay? I'm going to just remove them from my Sublime Text. Now, I'm going to refresh this page, and I'm going to click on the login button. Now, pay very close attention. If I click on login button, you can see that there is kind of a full refresh happening behind the scenes. My internet is so fast that you cannot even see it, but there is kind of a full refresh happening behind the scenes. I'm going to throttle a little bit the network here. I'm going to put, I don't know, probably slow 3G. And if you don't know, this is a very good feature of Chrome. If you wish to simulate how people with poor internet connection behave, in your application, you can just activate a slow 3G connection under the network tab, and pretty much you are simulating how people with slow internet connection will visit your application. So you can see that if I click on login, there is a full page refresh happening on top. So if I click on back, full page refresh once again, register, full page refresh once again. Now I'm going to show you something really cool. I'm going to add back the wire navigate stuff, okay? Click on Chrome. I'm going to refresh this page and check this out. Now, every time I click on something, I have this loading spinner, okay? As you can see, loading spinner happening, which is pretty cool. And this stuff, dude, it really feels like an SPA, as you can see. No full refreshes. Everything is just super fast. I'm going to just activate once more the slow 3G. As you can see, spinners happening for slow internet connection, but no full page refresh at all. So full SPA mode. Doesn't this feel like truly JavaScript? Dude, I think this is awesome, So if I just put the no throttling at all, so everything is just super fast, check this out. How cool this is, man. Just super fast stuff, full SPA mode, just by simply having Livewire click. F. Mendes is asking me, is it like Turbolinks? I don't know. Hey, other people on the chat, can you answer this? Is Turbolinks a little bit like this? I think it is, but I'm not really sure what Turbolinks is about. But I'm a big fan of this feature, okay? I want to show you something also about Wire Navigate, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to register a user. I'm going to go to the name and simply type my own name, password, and confirm password. And something I will do now is click on register, okay? And just check this out very closely. If I click on register, no full page refresh at all. You saw that? So I'm going to click on log out, log in again with my password, and no full refresh at all. Just truly like an SPA, as you can see. How cool is that, right? So this is using the Wire Navigate stuff once again, but a little bit differently. If I click on the login blade.php, you can see if I scroll a little bit down, there is this redirect with this navigate option. Okay, so some people are not aware about this feature on Livewire. They think the Wire Navigate is only for regular links. However, if you wish to redirect in your own code, which is the example, when I click on the login button, I wish to obviously check if the user have the correct password, and I also wish to actually authenticate the user. But after doing this, I can simply say redirect to the home page and then navigate to that home page just like a regular SPA. So the entire template with Laravel Breeze, you can see that is fully using Wire Navigate all over the place, literally everything. How nice is that? Okay. So I want to talk about the Wire Navigate a little bit because I think it's one of my favorite features of Laravel Breeze. Let me know what you think about this new Wire Navigate stuff. So all the stubs, that are copied to your application project, everything is using Wire Navigate, including some of the pages we have not seen, such as forget password, confirm password, all the profile information stuff, all the navigation, everything using Wire Navigate. Okay. All right, so that being said, I also want to show you something really cool regarding Alpine events. So I'm going to go back to my Chrome and I'm going to register myself again because I have deleted my own account and I'm in, as you can see. And now I'm going to click on my profile tab. So again, even though we are not really using JavaScript at all, my entire web page is fully reactive. So I wanted you to pay close attention to the username I have here. So this is Nuno Maduro, okay? But let's imagine for a second that I've made the mistake and my name is Taylor Otwell. So something I can do is just come here, type Taylor Otwell, save it, and just pay attention to this thing on the top right, okay? I click on save it, bam, Taylor Otwell immediately appears here on the top right. So it's fully reactive, including this small little save here, appearing here. This doesn't cause any other kind of Ajax requests or network requests behind the scenes. We are using Alpine.js for this, and everything is like fully reactive, as you can see. I can change my name back once again if I want to Nuno Maduro. And now if I click save, the name just changes there on the top right, which is pretty cool. Now, let's see the chat here a little bit because it's been a while that I don't check the chat. I'm just super excited about this stuff. I'm sorry about that, okay? Are you guys enjoying the stream so far? It's been a good time. I'm going to take a sip of coffee, but I'm super excited about this stuff. All right, so what we have here regarding the chat, let's take a peek on this one. So I see Volt everywhere. Volt is fire, rocket with the energy, which is cool. This is the response that I was looking for. Searching, that's cool, Claudio. Thank you for the feedback. Darlin is saying, it's possible to build a front end using WebAssembly. Dude, I think so, but I have no idea. Okay, I think like for Rust, there is this front end library that it's kind of possible to compile down to WebAssembly, but I don't even know if that actually was successful or not. Parth is saying Wire Navigate is everyone's favorite feature. Dude, that's so true. Mauricio is saying Wire Navigate for life. I agree. F. Mendes is like TurboLinks. Oh, we have seen this before. And oh, I see that the community just have said, yes, it's exactly like TurboLinks, which is cool. Tucho is saying Pinel SPA. I think you are referring to Filament a little bit. And yeah, I've heard stories about Filament. I have seen the live coding session of the Filament creator in Laravel Live UK, and I was really surprised by how good Filament looks like. Wire Navigate is an awesome feature. I agree. unpoly.js, add up, follow up to your anchor tags, everything should be an SPA. A new layout class, do you like this syntax? I do. Like, to be honest, syntax in general, it's not something that you like or not. It's really something that you get used to or not, you know? And for me, like, new layout guest, class extends component, something really easy to read. Yeah, I'm comfortable with it. You can style this in the way you want, though, but this is something I like to do. Tuto is saying action make my button with extra attributes where I navigate. Again, I think you are referring to filament, which is good. Fafa Raizu is saying, is that all of a bounce render of HTML from Livewire? Of bounce render? I don't understand your question. If you could rephrase it a little bit, that would be cool. Mauricio is saying, enjoying this so much. Thanks, Nuno. Thanks for saying that feedback. I really appreciate it. F. Mendes, you have to do more live streams. Thank you. I will try to do live streams pretty much every week starting now. I'm get really excited about live streams, so I'm happy that you guys are enjoying it as well. Tutu is saying just a couple of ways to incorporate Wire Navigate into your filament project. Yeah, got you. So all the snippets we have shared on top are kind of ways to use the Wire Navigate on filament, which is cool. Daniel Felipe is saying, do you think that someday the Rust will be your main language somehow? I don't think so. I think PHP have a bright future, and this is like the discussion of waves, something you need to be really aware of regarding web development, but also regarding programming in general, is that be really careful about wipe. The wipe of new programming languages, the wipe of new frameworks, and stick with something that is really bread and butter of the main day of everyone, you know? I feel like sometimes people get really excited about new technologies and new frameworks and new languages, and they pass their career jumping from topic to topic without actually stabilizing a little bit in some technology and being really good at, you know? And some examples you can find on PHP. You have people who have started with PHP 2 years ago, and today they are framework creators, or they have their own companies really building value with PHP, or even with some technologies that are considered a little bit old, you know? So yeah, that being said, I think to recap a little bit is just be careful about the waves in technology. Don't surf the waves and wait for technology to become stable to actually learn it, you know? Punya Paul is saying, what should be Livewire property naming convention? Oh, good question. So you are asking about stuff like this. When there is like an underscore, I think we have an example here on the register. There we go. So we have password and passer underscore confirmation. So my convention, I don't know, probably underscore. That's probably the stuff I use, mainly because this field will be bind to a model with an underscore. So probably we use underscore by default. All right, so out of bounds or render. The username name in the upper right corner updates when the username was updated, or the whole page was re-rendered. All right, great question. So he's asking me about, let me just put this on the top, on the bottom right. He's asking me about when I updated this Nuno Maduro with Taylor Otwell. Like this. When I click on save, there is like a full page re-render, or there is like only this particular field being re-rendered. So the answer is that only this particular Nuno Maduro label is being re-rendered, okay? And that is done with Alpine.js, by the way. So what happens is that I can try to show you the code if I still remember about it. So let's go to update profile information, and typically at the end, there we go. So I see this user save with a new email, with a new name as well. But at the end, we have this dispatch profile updated with a new username, okay? And what happens is that on the front end, probably I have, there we go, yeah, there you go. So on the front end, I'm using a framework called Alpine.js. which captures this profile updated event. As you can see, a X on profile updated, and I will pretty much grab the name from the event and put that name on the div that is responsible to display the name, okay? So this is using Alpine.js, that is kind of a GS library used by Livewire behind the scenes. So I'm really happy about this turned out, okay? Okay, so 2 more questions and then we go to the rest of the live stream. We are already 42 minutes in. F. Mendes is saying, with Rust, I struggle more with the compiler than anything else. Dynamic languages are good at bringing something out of the paper. Yeah, if you want to get stuff done, the reality is that you need some kind of relaxed typing. And Rust is just, it's fun, but I mean, if you really want to build value for tomorrow, you need something that actually allows you to do that. Tutu is saying, I have to thank you. Reposts have made a big impact on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and for this live stream. You're welcome. Sorry I'm late. It's fine. I think you can just roll. You can basically start the video now. I think I have enabled that option. If I don't, just let me know. Pumpail is saying, any plates of supporting other cases for confirmed validation or custom field name for the same? Well, this is stubs, you know, so once they're published in your application, you can just basically customize them and build everything you want, right? Gomez is saying, what I miss. You did miss a lot, dude. So go back to the beginning of the streaming because we have covered already so much about Livewire and Breeze and everything. So let's keep going, okay? So I'm going to put the chat here on the bottom right. And we do have a couple of things that I'd like to show you. So yeah, Laravel Breeze, a very simple starter kit for Laravel. And the features are mainly basic authentication, like login, register, forget password. And once you are logged in, you can see your dashboard, which shows you that you are logged in. And you also have this small profile management page that you can use to manage your user. At any time, you can log out, and that's pretty much it. Once you install Livewire, you have full access to all of the code that is published in your own application. So you can tweak the Livewire component if you want to, or you can tweak the template as well to, I don't know, sometimes you want to add some extra features to your own application and need to tweak this behavior, and you can do that as well. That being said, I want to show you something that I finished yesterday afternoon, and actually Taylor just merged it. So it's very likely to be released early next week. And that's it, the functional API for Livewire, okay? So here, as I have said, we are using Laravel or Livewire Vault, which comes with a class-based API. This is the one, right? But in addition, Livewire Vault also comes with its own API, which is this functional API. And now we have introduced that API as well on Laravel Breeze. I want to show you that. So I'm going to go to my terminal once again. I'm going to type clear, roll back a little bit, and remove the entire contents of my Laravel application. And I'm going to start a new one from scratch, typing Livewire new, Laravel new Laravel. I'm going to choose again, no starter kit, passed as a testing framework, and no GitHub repository because we don't need one for now. Okay, so once my application is installed, which it is now, I can jump into my application folder and I can install Breeze once again. But now, instead of using the regular stable version of Breeze, I'm going to use this branch, which is the one I was saying that I have worked yesterday on the afternoon. It's merged already, however, will be only released next week. So I'm going to type a composer require Laravel Breeze, but the branch I'm working on, by the way, you can also pull this one, but don't tell anyone. And then I'm going to type enter to install this version of Laravel Breeze. Now, the difference you will see is that if I type clear, I can simply type now PHP Artisan install, and instead of having only one option with the class-based API of Volt, I now have Livewire with a functional API as well. And I can choose that option if I want to. So I'm going to select that one, and I'm going to select that one with dark mode as well. And once again, passed as a default testing framework. And by the way, I'm going to just note that we also need to talk about testing because that's important. Okay, so obviously this command will install Laravel Breeze in your project as usual, and I'm gonna migrate the database as expected. So I'm gonna just type here SQLite for my database. Once again, the best database driver in the world, and I'm gonna type PHP artisan migrate, create my database, and now I'm gonna go to my Chrome, which typically should show just like before, a regular Laravel application with Breeze. Now there is a difference. The difference is that before we were having this class-based API Livewire components, but now we have the functional API of Volt. And let's start with the very simple example. This is the navigation bar on the top right, which has a logout button. So instead of having like a full class API for this Livewire component, we simply have a variable. And now, for example, when I wish to click on wire navigate, I'm pretty much calling this variable, call it logout, with this closure. And that's it. That's how simple this new functional API is. Let me show you a more complex example. Let's see, for example, the register full page component, which is this one. Let's go to our Sublime text, click on pages, auth, and register. Obviously, this is the more real-world scenario where you have multiple stuff such as loyouts, state, rules. So there's multiple things happening here. And I want to show you the before and the after. So I'm going to go to this Chrome Laravel Breeze website, and I'm going to go to the source directory, and I'm going to click on stubs. I'm going to click on Livewire, regular Livewire, pages auth, and then register. And let's compare the previous register with this new functional API, okay? Let's make this a little bit bigger. And as you can see on the right, we have the class-based approach, which we just have seen. If you love it, you can continue to use it, but now you have this new functional API if you wish to use it as well. So the loyouts, instead of using these attributes, you can simply call this function loyout to define your loyout, which is, in my opinion, a little bit more smaller and sexy. Then to declare the state, typically you'd have to declare a bunch of properties. Now you just have to pass an array and their default value, which is pretty cool. For the rules, instead of calling a method, you can simply define rules and pass the rules within it. And finally, for actions, for example, this register action right here, instead of having a class method, you can have a simple variable and declare your closure. So here the code is pretty much identical within the body of this closure. It is pretty much the same stuff. And as you can see, we are also using the navigate feature at the end of this redirect action. So that's the only difference. So the template is exactly the same. Everything is the same. However, the component definition with this new functional API is written using regular functions. Okay. However, if you wish to use the class-based API, you can still use it. It's also an option, and I think it's also a great option. In Laravel, it's about that. It's about giving people the power to choose what they like the most. How we are on comments here. All right, let's see what people are thinking. By the way, what do you think about Volt and what you think about both APIs? You guys like? Do you prefer the class-based API? Do you prefer the functional API? Do you like both, or you don't know yet, which is okay. Let's see the questions here. Actually, before the questions, I want to show you probably one more example of this new functional API. Let's see, for example, the confirm password. Okay, so I'm going to go to the confirm password play.php, and we have the code of the class-based approach and the code from the functional API. You can see that the code is very similar, but written on a different way, okay? Obviously, we have functions on the left and a regular class on the right. Let's take a peek on this stuff. Okay, so again, to define the layout, just calling a regular function, where with the class-based approach, you need to type an attribute. For the state, you simply type state with a password with an empty field, and here you need to have a public property. And for the rules, you simply pass an array with all the rules, and here you need an attribute. For the confirm password action, which is, by the way, being used obviously by the wire submit button just below, you can have a regular variable where with the class-based approach, you need a public function entirely, okay? Then the code within the body of these functions is exactly the same code. You don't need to change a thing, which is pretty cool. Regarding the template is exactly the same thing. And one question I get regularly is regarding auto-completion. Obviously, I'm using Sublime Text, so my auto-completion is pretty much nothing. However, if you wish to use something like PHP Storm, you have a full auto-completion out of the box, which is pretty cool. And with GitHub Copilot, to be honest, now at this point, it offers you pretty much auto-completion everywhere, which is pretty cool. Okay, so now that being said, let's see the chat. Sorry for not keeping up with the chat in the recent couple of minutes, but let's see what people are saying. By the way, is SQLite good for production environment? Is Montaser asking. Dude, it depends, man. If you have a lot of writes, probably no. But if you have a lot of reads and not a lot of concurrent users, I think it's perfectly fine. So for blogs, for your small pizza website, for those kind of simple scenarios, SQLite is great. Monari is saying that's pretty cool, but left me wondering how to use traits if there is no class defined with the functional API? That's a great question, Mauricio, and I'm going to show you the answer. So I'm going to go back into my Chrome here, and I'm going to open the Vault documentation. By the way, if you go to Livewire, obviously you have this beautiful website that Caleb have built. You can click on Start here, and you will see that there is this full, beautiful documentation about Livewire. And one of those topics on the bottom left is Vault. You can click on Vault, and once you click on Vault, you can search for traits, okay? And you can see there is a topic called Custom Traits and Interfaces. So if you wish to use like a trait, you can simply type uses and pass the trait name within. So a simple scenario would be, let's imagine, for example, you want to create a trait here, call it, I don't know, interacts with users, for example. Okay, this is your own trait, and you would type like a public method, call it users, that fetches all the users, for example. Something you can do is just type just below uses and then pass this interact with users class, and now you have fully access to this particular trait. Okay, so now you can call users, for example. That's the way it works with traits. However, typically, if you need like some shared behavior, something I will do is I would probably just create just another function, something like, I don't know, users, and then I would pass a function, and within that function, I would perform my work. And when you do something like this, you can now access to these users within this function body to have access to this behavior right here, which I think is pretty cool. Okay. Now, that being said, let's keep going and see a little bit about the chat before we jump into testing and finish this live stream. So people are saying, oh, Tutu, holy shit, this went a little bit down. There we go. For me, it depends on the type and complexity of the application. I think Maurels is talking about SQLite. And indeed, it depends. It depends on multiple things. Tutu is saying uses with sorting. Yes, that's the way you use traits with Livewire Vault. Thanks for mentioning that on the chat. Nice idea, Gomez is saying, for the functional API. Thank you. Well, it's obviously heavily inspired on Vue and React, but I think it's a very welcome experience for people coming from JavaScript worlds. Merels is saying, I particularly prefer Volt with the class style because I think it's better to the readability. Yeah, it's perfect. Like, if you like it and you like the class style API, it's pretty cool. By the way, just to reference, I know that, for example, with Vue.js, you can use Vue 2 or Options API and Vue 3 functional API, and a lot of people still use the Options API, which is very similar to the class API of Livewire. So that's perfectly fine. Danielle is saying, like with past, bringing function-based approach is very welcome. Yeah, I love functions, and I feel like a lot of people love functions as well. So that's pretty cool. How to pass a parameter state on the functional API. Can you elaborate in your question so I can answer it with real code? Not sure I follow it. Pumpayal is saying, have you checked the new Start Code Chat feature of GitHub Copilot? I have not. However, typically, I like GitHub Copilot when they actually offer me some kind of autocomplete. You know, so when I type, for example, for each user, do this or that, and then I type enter, and just below, it starts to actually write the code, you know what I mean? I like that stuff. However, when I'm kind of interacting with AI, writing real chat on some separate window, I don't like it that much. But I understand like they are innovating so fast that maybe that will change in the future. But so far, it doesn't click to me. Go outside of my editor to make questions. But I do like to make those questions or make requests to the AI directly on my code. Okay, so let's finish up the stream talking a little bit about testing, okay? Because as you know, with Laravel Breeze, we ship with a full feature test, with a full test suite for you. So as you can see, if I click on tests, I have these two folders, featured in unit. And when I click on feature, I have these authentication tests that check if the login screen can be rendered. Or for example, if I click on let's see, registration test, I can see that new users can register. And if I go to my terminal, I can simply type vendor bin passed to run my entire test suite, and things are passing as expected. If you are not very familiar with testing, let me know, and I can probably make a live stream just about testing and kind of teach you the ropes if you wish. Testing is a very important skill for any web developer or even regular developers because it's pretty much something that allows you to save time. You don't have to do those testings manually with a real browser. You can simply write it once, and then you have this fully automated test running all the time. And the real example is the fact that here we have 26 tests running in less than 2 seconds, and probably running these 26 tests manually would be so much more time. Now, we also had this full test suite being copied to your application code, so you can leverage this test suite in the past. However, using something like Livewire and Volt, we had to tweak a little bit the test suite to make it kind of okay for Livewire, okay? So something we are doing, for example, is, let me show you, for example, this profile test, okay? To test that the profile page is being displayed, something we are doing first is obviously authenticate one user, and then when we visit the profile page, we assert to see those Volt components, okay? So that's the very first test we write on every single page, is that when you visit this particular URL, I do expect to see my Volt component. That's the most important thing to do as a first test, okay? Now, once you do this first test, you assert that the page is okay, is rendering correctly the necessary Livewire components. The second thing you need to do is test in isolation each one of those components. So let's take a look about, for example, this update profile information form. And as you may know, this is the form we have when we go to the profile page. So if I go, for example, to this email, I'm going to register this user real quick. If I go to profile, I get to see obviously the profile page, but this particular profile information, this is only one component, okay? So once we test that we can see this particular component, we need to actually test this component. That's exactly what we are doing on the second test, okay? We are saying, okay, Volt, let's test this particular component, call it profile dot update profile information form. When I give you the given test username in the given email and call the update profile information, which is, by the way, this particular action right here. And then you set the expectations at the end. I obviously expect the component to not have any errors. I expect the component to not perform any kind of redirect, but I also expect at the same time that my username got properly updated, my user email got properly updated, and so on and so on, okay? So we have a full-featured test suite right there for you. So you start your project with Laravel Breeze, with Livewire, with Volt, and 26 full test suites ready to go, which is pretty cool, right? Have this test suite ready to go and allows you to smoke test your application entirely, okay? And that's it in terms of contents of this live stream. Now it's the last moment. If you have any questions or if you just want to say something to me, we are going to read the chat and terminate the stream for today. Okay. Gomez is saying the state from the parent component to the child component like props in Vue.js. Great question. So now I get what you were asking for at the beginning. Let's imagine for a second we have this update profile form information and you wish to, for example, send the user ID from the parent component. The only thing you have to do is just type this, like user ID, okay? So if the parent component passes a prop with the name user ID, this user ID will have the value given by the parent component. However, if not, that will be just regular null. So there is no particular syntax you have to do. If the parent component is passing a prop, that prop will take priority in terms of value or that prop's value. You know what I mean? It's super simple. So Pum-Yapal is saying that the chat stuff from UI, it's not a separate window. It's in code only, just interacts with your code and gives you changes in your code at the same time. Okay, I will double check that and let you know if it's actually cool. Mauricio is saying, I would like a basic one-on-one live stream with past and testing. Yeah, maybe I can do that, you know. I need a real reason, you know, because recently I like to do live streams on the stuff I'm currently working on. For example, I have built Pale and I was just finishing building Pale and I was super excited about showing you this new stuff. So I've just done it. And then today about Livewire, I just finished the functional API. So I was really excited to see what people are thinking about it. So typically I like to do live streams of stuff I'm excited about, but we never know. Maybe I will work on something regarding testing real soon and I can do a live stream about testing as well. Can we jet streamers get into the fun too? Yeah, so I think I have done the Livewire version of... No. I remember now. So for Jetstream, I have upgraded the Livewire version from V2 to V3. But indeed, there is no Volt. I don't think even the components are published to the application. Is resources, views directory. So there is some stuff to improve here for sure regarding Jetstream. Okay, Tuto is saying, I would use... Tutor is answering to Gobis, I will use properties to paste a state down to a child component. Exactly. Properties on the class-based API are regular state using the functional API. But I think it's better way would be use events if you need to update the state of the parent component. That's a very good point. Let me show you an example here. So when I go to the Vault documentation, we have something called events. This is not like Vault stuff. This is Livewire stuff, by the way. But something you can do is just dispatch events and then capture those events and those values to update your component is state. I'm going to give you an example. I think Livewire actually have a very good example with to-dos. Let me check if they still have that. Oh, they don't have the to-do stuff. Let me check if they have something that is really straightforward to understand here. Oh, I think they have reactive component. I don't know. Anyways, so if you would do like, let's write the code. It's just easier. Okay. So if you have like two components, this is the parent and this is the child, for example. If on the child you want to update, you have like something like add to do equal to a function, you know, and this would pretty much add a to do. Something you could do is type something like this, dispatch increment to do count, for example, or even just basically dispatch refresh to do count, you know, refresh to do count. On the parent component, something you could do is capture that event like this on refresh to do count, and then you will have a function that will update your count of to-dos with the real value or the current value of the to-dos. So this is like the event approach of communicating between parents and childs. I know some of this stuff can be done with props as well, especially now that Livewire have this thing called reactive props. I don't know whether they have that anymore though. Let me double check that. Maybe under properties, and now we can have reactive properties. Anyways, I know that Livewire now have this thing called reactive properties. Okay, there you go. So there is this new section called nested components, and within nested components, you can now pass a property to the underlying component like this, and you can make this stuff reactive. So you don't have to kind of play with events. I know that Caleb told me there is some trade-off to do with reactive props, as there is some more boilerplate actually being sent to the browser. So anyways, just to recap, there is two ways of approaching this: events or with props or reactive props, but there is some trade-offs to do or trade-offs to deal with. Gobes is saying it's possible to make a live stream on Laravel 0. Maybe. Laravel 0 is this project that it's been a while that I actually work with it, you know. Pretty much Owen Vogue, which is the co-creator of Laravel 0, have been doing all the stuff there recently. But Laravel 0 is this project that is like finished, you know. It's a very easy project to build a CLI application, probably the most popular framework for CLI in the world at the moment. And it's easy to get started, but if you want, I can try to make a live stream about it. Not sure. Arif is saying, I like to use Livewire as a full page component. Personally, I don't use Vault. That's okay. So some of the examples on Breeze are full page components, as you have seen. But yeah, Breeze at the moment is fully built on top of Livewire Vault. And that's it. I hope everyone have enjoyed the stream today. Thank you so much, and forgive me my excitement about Livewire and everything, but I cannot contain myself. I simply love this stuff. Thank you so much for being on that side once again. You guys always show up to my streams, which is pretty cool to see always a full room of people interacting with me on the chat, but also sending me some messages at the end. I also like you all. And yeah, let's just keep this momentum of live streams going on. Yesterday, I've made a poll about contents you wish to see on these live streams, and Bree's live stream was something that people were requesting. So if you have some more requests, just let me know on Twitter. Thank you so much for your support, and I see you all next time.